What's going on YouTube? Very exciting video for you today. We'll be installing 997 seats into my 986. These seats are in much better shape than the ones in my 986. They have the Porsche crest up here, nicer looking leather, nice controls on the side. Let's take a look at the 986 seats. So you can see these are looking a little bit tired. They have the tears in them. On the side here, it looks like they've been touched up. I've been looking to get these restored, but then I saw these pop up on Facebook Marketplace in the right color, cocoa brown. It's very tough to find this color, and these seats were actually in decent shape, so I decided to pick them up. The passenger seat here has a couple marks on it, nothing too bad. The bolsters are actually in pretty good shape, especially on this driver's side. Got some scratches over here on the side, but compared to the ones in the 986, these are much better. Now I did a little bit of research on how hard it is to fit these into the 986. Apparently it's doable. A little bit of work is needed with the wiring, but these apparently have already been modified to work with the 996, and I guess the 996 seats are more plug and play with the 986. So underneath here, we'll take a look at the wiring. It's a little hacked up. Someone already was making these work for the 996, and it looks like these rails possibly were cut as well. So thankfully they labeled some of the wiring for these, but we won't really know until we get the 986 seats out and start to compare things. Alright, first up we're going to pop the hood and disconnect the battery. When we remove the seat, when I start disconnecting everything, I don't want to trigger an airbag light on the dash. So I'm going to disconnect the battery, and then we're going to start taking out that seat. Okay, I have the battery disconnected. Before I disconnected the battery, I moved these seats in an upright position, just so they're a little bit easier to manage once they're out of the car. For the front bolts here, we need to take off this plastic piece. There's a clip right in the middle here. You lift this up and these slide forward. Watch out for this mat thing. Take that off on both sides, and that exposes a bolt there. In the back, there's a similar bolt. Once we get these front ones off, we'll slide the seat forward and get the bolt on the back. I have the 986 seat out of the car on the right hand side here, and the new seat on the left hand side. The wiring doesn't actually look too bad. So this is the harness for the 986 seat. If you follow these wires up, you can see that they go to this box. The number on the side of the box has 996 on it, which this one does as well. So this must be what they swapped over. So all of these wires match up to the wires that come out of this. So instead of trying to splice in this harness to all these wires to this box, I think what I'll do is I'll just unplug this or take the box with it and move the entire box over here. So that will give me all of these connections to the harness. The power recline connections, the power and ground here, looks like I'll have to cut those and solder in these wires to that, or figure out how to depin this. The only other thing left after that, well, I guess two things left after that: the seat belt. The seat belt clip, I follow this wire over, it goes all the way up to the seat belt. So I'll just unbolt this, take those wires out, transfer it to the new seat. And then we have this connection, the red and white and the brown wire. That looks to be this one. Now I don't have the same black connections like these coming off for here. So going to have to cut that and move it over here, and we'll see what this goes to. It looks like it goes down here. We'll see if it's connected to the seat belt. On the 986 harness, you have to take off this side clip here Just pry it on both sides on it. I'm not sure if that's how you're supposed to take it off. But once you get that off, then you can slide the seat belt connector out the side here. You need to do that to be able to fish it through all the way down here. Have this box removed, these two unplugged. So the only thing left holding this harness on is these two wires. So looks like I'm going to have to cut these. It's the only thing that I'll be cutting on the existing seats, but I'll cut them up here so that they can be reattached if this doesn't work out. Turns out I'll cut one more thing. I'm going to cut this connection up here. This is the red and white and the brown wire. That's going to go right here. So on this harness here, if I cut this, there's not really much left to work with. So I want to retain this plug. So I'll cut that back so I can have this plug here and connect that to these guys. All right, we'll start prepping some of these wires. Got the tool here to strip the wire covering off. Works really nicely. Power and the ground on the recliner. These stripped away. I'll have to do the same over here on this side. There we go, so all prepped. We'll get the soldering iron and the wire shrink and get this going. Everything's connected now, so we have these two wires with this connection on it. We have the ground and power wire over here. Messed up on this one, the heat shrink was too close to the soldering iron and it shrunk, so I had to go back through with tape to do it. Just zip tied this guy down here to this, so there's not a screw hole on the side where it went on the 986 seats. So the next thing is to get this seatbelt wire through. I need to feed this through, get it plugged in up here, actually back in this harness up here, and get this guy bolted up. Seatbelt's on, tightened down, have the wire ran through these little holders here, back through, and connected to the harness again. So we're actually ready to try to put the seat in the car and see how it fits. We've hit a bit of a snag here. So I don't know how I didn't realize this at first or when I was going to buy the seats, but the previous owner, or two owners ago, because the guy that I bought these from said he didn't use them or take them out of the packaging from shipping. So someone mutilated these seats. They cut off the tabs that are supposed to come off here and a small tab that comes off of here. So I'll show you on the existing seat. So this is where the front bolt mounts through. They cut this off and they cut this guy off here. So on these seats, it should come off like this. So for these to be usable, I need to replace this front tab. On the back, I can do without this small tab. I think this is just for positioning while you're getting them in there. The screw hole is still there for the back, but the front, there's no place to put the screw. So I need to make a piece that comes off like this. So I ran to the store and I got some metal. Now what I'm thinking is I'll drill a hole through this while it's all one piece, easier to manage. Then I'll cut about a 2-inch section off and try to bend that 2-inch section to the same angle on these, and then weld the bottom portion on here. So it'll be about the thickness of that steel higher in the front, and I'm going to try to mount them with just that, and then we'll see if we need to build a spacer for the back to make it the same height as the front. I measured the existing mounting bracket and it's about 4 to 5 millimeters off from the front. The hole is about 12 millimeters, and I measured the middle of this metal piece. So that's about where that hole should go. Got the drill bit here. Should be about 4 to 5 from the front in the center, and this is about 12 millimeters, so that should match the existing hole. We made it through. See, this is pretty thin up front here, a little too thin for my liking. We'll have to make it work. Let's take that screw and test it out. I have the piece of metal here in the vise, a welding blanket behind it to catch the sparks. We're going to try out this tool, first time using it. Has the metal cutting wheel on it. The only thing I don't like about it is how close my hand is to that wheel. So I'm going to wear these gloves to help protect. Got that towel on the Boxster just in case sparks go that way. And the vice grips on the end to stop this from flinging around. So we'll give this a cut. We'll see probably from top down and see how that works. Okay, not too bad. Here's what we got. So now we need to put this in the vise and bend it and measure the angle on the seat. It's about 140 degrees coming off of there. So we need to bend this to match that angle. So I'm gonna put it in the vise over here and put this side down to protect it. Start trying to bend it this way. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. I have 2 brackets down. Now I'm worried about getting these in the right place. So these go right here, but there's a lot of variance I could have here, forward, back. So this is what I'm thinking. I had the seat in place, the back bolts down, and so you can see the mount is down here, right here. Got these in place. So what I'm thinking is I'll put the bolt in, got the bolt in on this side, put the bolt in, push this down and weld just a few tacks right along the top. So what I need to do first is pull these back out, clean up the bottom of these rails, and then clean up a spot for my clamp to go when I'm welding them. I'm gonna put the welding blanket over here when I go to weld, and maybe some towels or tin foil or something down here to help protect this. Maybe towels along there. I don't really trust myself with the slag, so we'll see. But I don't see another way to do this reliably with making sure that these mounts are in the right place. Got the seat all covered here. I'm going to grind this down and cut these top pieces off here. So on both sides, or on both seats, I'll cut that top piece off. That'll just give me a little bit more room to get that bolt in. and then clean these up so they're nice and flat. They're already not too bad, but some of them got little bumps. Now we need to grind down a spot for the welder clamp. Get a good connection, so we gotta take this paint off. I'm thinking on the side here, I can get it there, so I'm gonna try to sand down the outside and the inside. Have the welder set up here, the welding blanket over the seat, and some towels down. So we're going to just try to tack those mounts into place. The right brackets tacked on from the top, so I'm going to take the welder and go all the way around here. Isn't pretty, but it'll work. Let's get the other side rigged up here. Moment of truth. Got the back bolts in, got the wires connected. We just need to bolt up these front ones, and hopefully these bolts go in. I noticed that they're a little bit long now with this bracket. It's used to going through 2 pieces of metal. So I have some washers over here. I'm gonna have to just stack up 2 washers underneath this bolt to make up for that lost metal, but it should be just fine. The seat's finally bolted in. The front's looking a little bit ugly, but I think I can get caps for that. The 986 caps don't actually fit. So now it's time to connect the battery and see if the electrical components work. All right, moment of truth. It works. The only other thing is the seat heater. Let's see, let's turn on the ignition. That was odd. See a seatbelt light, hood light. Seatbelt light went off. Uh-oh. That's not good. Alright, so the heated seat isn't working. Something must not be connected with that. But hey, I think I could live with that. Maybe I'll troubleshoot that, see what's going on. I almost never use the heated seat, but you know, winter's coming up, so we'll see. Let me hop out and show you how it looks. Here's how the seat looks. Still have to clean it up really good, but we have the Porsche crest up top, looking very good. See the difference between the stock seats and these seats, quite a bit thicker looking. I didn't weigh them beforehand. Actually, I'm going to with the passenger seat. I'll weigh the passenger seat when I take it out against that seat. But they look fantastic, way better condition than the stock seats. This is a nice touch on the side here. It's plastic. It's got a metal look to it, but it's plastic. Way better condition. You gotta love the Porsche crest up at the top. All right, that's all for this video. It was quite a bit of work, more than I was expecting, having to weld those brackets on. But we got it done. We got the driver's side seat done. In the next video, I'll be doing the passenger seat. So I'll do a part 2 with the passenger seat. I'll weigh the seats, see what the weight difference is, and I'm thinking I'll do a height comparison for the lowest point on the seat to the roof to see if the new seats sit higher or sit lower than the stock seats. I'll also be doing a little bit of a review on these seats to see if it was a worthwhile upgrade. I'll drive around for a little bit, maybe commute to work in there, see how they compare to the stock seats, and share my opinion with you guys. All right, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.